Okay. So, hello and welcome back to this week's stream. I'm Gordon Morse, your natural English coach, and I'm here once again this week to answer some more questions about natural English. All right, so let's get into it. Here's our first question of today. When I asked my friend about how he was doing, he said, "Can't complain." So what does he not want to complain about? So this is, again, a phrase that you'll hear a lot when you're speaking with somebody in natural English. So basically, this is a response to the questions, "How are you?" or "How are things?" It doesn't mean that you have to have anything bad that's happening in your life currently. Basically, it just means I'm okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm doing well or I'm doing great. If you say can't complain, it means that maybe there are some bad things, but overall, in total, it's not too bad, right? But if you're doing really, really well, if things are amazing or excellent, then you can just say that. That's better than can't complain. So here are a couple of examples of the ways you can use can't complain naturally in English conversation. So when somebody says to you, "How are things with you lately?" you can say, "I've been busy, but overall, I can't complain." Right? So maybe the person doesn't like to be busy, but it's not too bad. So all in all, or overall, they can't complain. So the next one is, "How have you been doing?" So again, if somebody asks you, "How have you been doing?" then you can say, "I can't really complain. School has been going well, but it's stressful sometimes." So see how it's not too bad, but it's not totally good either. So these are a couple of natural ways to ask somebody how they're doing, or what their daily situation is, and there are some natural ways of answering those questions. All right, here's our second question of this week. Whenever I go shopping, people don't understand me when I ask about clothes. Am I not pronouncing the word correctly? So I really wanted to address this question because it is a problem word for many, many of my Japanese students over many years. So whenever I hear, or for most people, when I hear a lot of Japanese people say this word, say the word right there, basically they will say closes, 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 which is not at all the actual correct sound. The actual correct sound for natural English you want to say is clothes, clothes. It's a tricky word to say because of the TH that goes directly into the Z sound. Clothes. See how I slowed it down a little bit, but you can see how it goes directly from clothes, clothes, and then you do it fast after that. So, like it says, the correct sound is clothes. 3 quick sounds, not the 2 sounds of closes, closes, right? So the bottom one is incorrect, the top one is the correct pronunciation. So I can't say this for sure. I don't know for sure, but my guess, my belief is that the reason why this word is pronounced wrong so often in Japan is because the TH sound in the word cloth becomes either tsu or zu in Japanese. So we have cloth, which is the singular, right? There is a bolt of cloth, versus clothes, because clothes is plural, right? Cloth, clothes. But as you might have noticed, the TH sound changes just a little bit from cloth to clothe. You'll notice when I say clothes that your tongue vibrates. And again, I always talk about being able to feel the vibrations right here, right? So when you say the word cloth, there's no vibration on the TH. And when you say the word clothe, there is vibration on the TH. It's just a difference of vibration in your vocal cords. So I think the reason why, or at least I think the reason why this mispronunciation happens is because of the TH being zu or zu and then carrying over into clothes. But here's a couple of more examples of this. So you can say, I'm going to the mall to buy new clothes this Saturday. New clothes. Or you can say, his clothes were soaking wet after he ran through the rain. His clothes were soaking wet. All right. Here is question number 3. I understand the meaning of opinion, but I don't understand a second opinion. Does this mean you change your opinion later on? So, the primary meaning of second opinion is when you get a medical diagnosis from a doctor. And I might have to explain the word diagnosis. It's a very important word to know. Basically, a diagnosis is when you go to a doctor and the doctor does a checkup, right? They kind of look at your body and they do some tests. And then if there is something wrong with you, if you have some disease or you have some illness, they will tell you, oh, I think this is what is wrong with you. I think this is your disease. I think this is your illness. And that's called a diagnosis, the medical diagnosis. So basically, after you get your doctor's diagnosis, then maybe you have this feeling that maybe they're not right. You can't tell for sure because you're not a doctor, right? Or most of you probably are not doctors, but you still don't think it's quite correct. Maybe there's something that you feel like the doctor missed. So what you want to do is you want to get a second opinion because the first doctor had their opinion and now you want to get a second opinion, or you want to check with a different source. So you can use this phrase outside of a doctor's office as well. You can use it for example, when your car is broken or something is not working with your car, you take your car to a mechanic, right, to get it fixed. And the mechanic looks at the car and the mechanic says, oh, this will cost $3,000 to fix, right? Your engine is broken. And then you think, oh, that's really expensive. I don't want to pay that much money. Maybe there's something else maybe there's some other way of fixing it so that it's cheaper, right? So in that case, you can get a second opinion by going to a different mechanic to have your car checked. And maybe it will be the same result, or maybe the other mechanic will have a different opinion or a different diagnosis. So again, you can have a second opinion for a mechanic or a second opinion on financial advice that someone gives you. You could get a second opinion on a translation that someone has given you or that has been done. You can even get a second opinion on someone's advice about love or dating. So a lot of times it's just useful to get a second opinion, even if you do trust the first opinion. Because sometimes in order to make your own choice, it's good to have different viewpoints to think about. So here's a couple of examples. My uncle said I should invest in that company, but I want to get a second opinion first. So when you invest in a company, it means that you put money into the company and then later on the company pays you back. Here's our second one. The doctor said I would need this very expensive medication. I want to get a second opinion. And in that case, you probably want to get a second opinion because you can't afford to pay for the very expensive medicine every single week or month or whatever. All right, question 4. Yesterday, my coworker told me that they were overdue for a meetup with someone. Does this mean they were late for something? So, when we talk about things being overdue, the most basic meaning of the word overdue means that you have borrowed or you have rented something for longer than you should have. So, for example, when you go to a library and you borrow a book, or when you go to like a CD or a DVD store and you borrow a video or a CD, something like that, and then when you check it out, they give you a date, right? You give you the return date of like 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever, and you have to return the thing by that time. And if you do not return it, then it is overdue after that. So the way that we're using overdue here is about talking about something, not like returning a book or a movie, but something that was expected to happen but has not happened in a long time. So for example, you can say, I'm overdue for a vacation because you want to have a vacation, you expect to have a vacation, but you have not had a vacation for a long time. Therefore, you think that your vacation or you are overdue for a vacation. A common way to use this phrase is saying, this has been long overdue, with long just being an emphasis, right? It shows how long. So, for example, I can't wait to see my friend again. We're long overdue for a catch-up. So in this case, what is overdue is the meeting with the friend. And then next is, I'm overdue for a cleaning at the dentist. I haven't gone in 2 years. So if you're supposed to go to the dentist maybe every 6 months or every year, if you haven't gone to the dentist in 2 years, then maybe you are in fact overdue for a checkup. All right. And finally, question number 5. When I hang out with English-speaking friends, I don't talk as much as I normally do. How can I practice to talk more in these situations? So I'm glad that I want to address more questions like these. They're not questions about grammar or vocabulary or something like that. Or pronunciation. These are really important questions to think about and to learn more about if you really want to become good at natural speaking in English. Because, and I've probably talked about this before in several live streams before this, but speaking naturally and casually in conversations is all about speaking confidence. Because you can spend years and years learning a different language in school, and you can have really good grades. You can pass the, ACAN and the TOEFL and TOEIC and all those things. You can pass all those tests with very, very, very high grades, but that doesn't automatically mean you will be good at speaking naturally, right? And that's where speaking confidence comes in. Speaking confidence is not a language skill, but it's a communication skill. And it's important to remember that casual conversation is one of the most difficult high-level skills in any language. Some people might think that the most difficult skill in a language is, reading a newspaper or reading an academic article. It's not at all. Those are actually, compared to speaking very fluently in a natural conversation, those two things are actually pretty easy because the language doesn't change and you have time to use things like a dictionary or a translator to help you with them. When you're having a natural conversation and a casual one, you don't have time to look up words that you need, and also you have to be thinking about your communication with the person as you're also trying to speak in a language you are not completely fluent in. So, an important thing to remember is that your English doesn't have to be perfect to participate in conversations. There are many people, and myself included, who feel like if you don't know exactly what you want to say, and also you think that, oh, I'm going to make a mistake, you just don't say anything in a conversation. And that's actually worse, because at the end of the day, there is not a single person who speaks any language perfectly. Even in our native languages, we still make mistakes all the time. And it's just that when you're speaking in a language that's not your native language, you feel more pressure. You're more hard on yourself, and sometimes other people are more hard on you. But that's kind of silly because it's just language, it's communication. So it's really important to have the right mindset if you really want to get better at speaking and you really want to practice more. I always recommend that you focus on small actions and short responses first. So basically just let the other person do most of the talking. And to show them that you're interested, show them that you understand, and show them that you want to know more about what they're talking about will instantly create a good connection and good communication between you and that person. You don't have to try and give a really long, detailed answer to every single one of their questions. And in fact, asking a question can be the easiest way to continue a conversation. Basically, trying to memorize long, specific phrases will just make you freeze while you're trying to talk, and you will forget which word goes here, and you'll forget, a and the and all that stuff. You basically, when you try to memorize phrases, that basically splits your brain. It splits your brain power in half when you're trying to have a conversation, because half of your brain is trying to focus on talking to the person in real life, and the other half of your brain is trying to remember the correct order of the words. It's just too much for anybody. One thing that I really recommend for practicing is watching street interviews in English. So you can look up on YouTube or basically anywhere these days and look up basically reporters or YouTubers or other people who are going around and just talking to people in the street, because it's a casual setting, and that's where you'll hear natural English being spoken between the two people. And I recommend that as you watch it, when one person asks a question, then you can pause the video, and then you can try to give your own response to the question. So basically, it's like practicing without having to worry about actually talking to a person. So you hear the question, pause the video, try and answer. Then you unpause the video and listen to the person's response. And you try to compare, is my response similar to their response, right? Doing that a lot will help improve your natural English speaking. All right, so as always, I like to leave you with a question for this week. This week's question is, what is something in your life that is long overdue? And why haven't you done it yet? So maybe for you, it's meeting up with a person, or maybe it's going on a vacation, or maybe it's practicing something or talking to somebody. Try and record your answer on a recording device like your phone. Practice slowly and then listen to your own response. It's another useful practice for getting better. All right, so thank you very much for watching today. If you learned something, which I hope you did, please make sure to like and comment and subscribe to the videos, because the more people do that, the more content I can create for other people and to watch every week. And also, if you ever have a question about English, feel free to answer or to ask those questions during the live stream. If you do ask the question, I can see your question and then I can respond immediately. Or you can leave a question on any of my previous videos and I will see them and I'll respond there. So, also, if you ever want to test your natural English, you can go to my website, which you can see in the corner of this video, and you can take a free natural English assessment test. I will see it and I'll be able to check and give you some feedback totally free. All right, so until next week, have a good one.